Hello YouTube, Dave here again. In today's video I want to do a video response to another YouTuber, although his subject matter is completely different than mine. So the individual that I want to talk about or do a response for is a video game collector by the name of John Hancock, and he goes by the Immortal John Hancock. And if you haven't heard of him, he's made a lot of appearances on the Metal Jesus Rocks channel, which is again another one of my favorite YouTubers to follow. And John just has an amazing collection of video games. He's got, I think, 7 different consoles and systems that he has the complete North American retail set for. It's like Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, the Nokia N-Gage cell phone gaming system, if anybody remembers that from the early 2000s. But he's got a really great channel, really awesome collection that I wish I could have, but just way too much stuff. But the question that he had, and he was doing this as he was making a video for the collector's edition, special edition cartridge that was put out for Street Fighter II recently. And his question is, when it comes to collecting games and gaming products, is it okay to just collect, or should everything, or does everything have to be opened up, used, and played and experienced? And I like that question, and it's an interesting question because my point of view on that has changed over the years. So when I first started collecting Dungeons & Dragons, when I made the conscious decision to collect Dungeons & Dragons stuff, I wanted to make it a point to use every book that I bought, and I did that for a little while. So I was kind of proud of that. Like all the supplement books that I was buying for 3.5, I was trying to find ways to use at least something out of it, be it a feat for an NPC, or some regional information from like the Forgotten Realms books, or just something. And I maintained that for a while until I just started, finding that it was just too much of a hassle to pick up and bring out books constantly for the NPCs and stuff that I had created. So it got to the point where I just bought the books to read and to have on the shelf. But at that time I'm still reading them. It wasn't until a few years back that I actually started picking up a few different items that I bought solely for the purpose of just having sealed on my shelf. So I just thought I'd show off these items because these are basically the things that I have here. So I don't have a lot of things that I've bought just for the purpose of having a sealed or, pristine copy of anything. And sometimes there's a bit of a story behind it or reasons why. So I just thought I'd kind of show them off. But at this point I would say that for me, the answer to is it okay to just collect stuff and does everything have to be used? The answer is absolutely. It's okay to just collect stuff. There are a few things that I think people should keep in mind, and I'll touch on those in a moment. But just like I said, some of the things that I want to show off here are as follows. So, the things that I have here are, and I apologize for the cut there, just the camera battery died. I just put it on charge for a few moments so I can at least try to get the rest of this video finished. But for me, some of the things that I bought, the very first thing that I actually ever bought that I decided I was going to keep sealed isn't even a D&D product, but it's a Munchkin expansion for the Guild. So the Guild is one of my favorite web series. And so this is just a set of cards to play with the Munchkin game, kind of like card game type of thing. And this was the very first thing that I ever bought that when I got it, I just said, I don't actually want to open this because I'm really not going to play Munchkin, but I wanted it because it was the Guild. So this was actually the very first thing that I ever got that I decided to keep sealed. Additionally, I do have it's a little bit dusty there, unfortunately, because it does sit on a shelf, but this is the Icons of the Realm starter set. So this is the very original one that came out for 5th edition, and I decided that I just liked the packaging so much with like the green dragon in the background, and I just didn't want to ruin that. And I got a ton of miniatures as it is, but I just thought this was a really cool looking set, and it has Drizzt in it, which is one of my favorite fictional characters. As unpopular as that is, I do enjoy the character, I do like the books. So for me, that's the reason that I bought it, was because it had a Drizzt figure in there, but I decided to keep it sealed. And I'm kind of glad that I did, because this version is very difficult to find now. A year or so, I think, after this came out, they repackaged and they re-released these miniatures with different paint jobs. Like they changed the skin tone of the female archer, but it's all the same poses and just different colors for the different characters there. And instead of Dritz, they just had a druid. I think it was just an elven druid and nothing really else special or unique about it, just so they were all the same same sculpts with different paint jobs. So I don't have that, and I don't have the epic level starter set that they put out I think last year. I'd like to see if I can find at least the epic level starter set, if not be able to find the second starter set. But for this, again, it was something that I picked up, and I saw that, you know, Dritz was on in the packaging, and I just decided again that the packaging was so nice that I didn't want to ruin it, so I kept it sealed. Another product that I decided to keep sealed is this here. So this is Dragon Dice. This is a battleground. So this doesn't have any of the actual dice in it. It's just sort of like a playmat, as well as a short story. And just kind of just a really cool, neat little product. And the reason that I found that, or got this, is I found it in a game store. This was shortly after I did my 2nd edition AD&D retrospective, and I think I had mentioned Dragon Dice sort of in passing, but I had never actually seen the dice, never actually played the game. But they had this there for $12, and it's still sealed, still has the sticker on it there, although I think that's actually on the box itself. But I just thought this was such a cool thing to have, but again, you know, I'm never going to play the game, so it's no real reason for me to ever actually open it. I mean, reading the short story would be kind of cool, but I'm sure I can find a PDF of it online if I really want to read it. But again, for me, this is just sort of a really cool conversation piece, and I found it, again, very shortly after I did that 2nd edition AD&D retrospective. So again, this is something I bought solely for having it as a collectible item on my shelf. Along those same lines is the reason why I picked up a single booster of the Unstable set for Magic the Gathering. I'm not really interested in Unstable really much at all, but I like the artwork. I like sort of the way that the packaging looks. It's actually one of the cooler looking just sets of the packaging for the booster packs. So again, I like that, and I like the creature that's on the front here. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I just have one of these that I just kind of sort of have on display, because, you know, again, I'm never going to play the set. There's no reason to ever really open these unless you're drafting them or creating, like, you know, unset decks. There are full art lands that I guess are really nice in these, and that's one of the main appeals to buying these sets, if you want to get those lands. But for me, you know, a single land card just really isn't worth it. But again, it's a sort of a, you know, nice looking packaging. And that's why I decided just to pick up one of these and have it on my shelf. This is something that I would consider probably parting ways with if it becomes something that, you know, is sort of sought after. And like if a sealed product goes for, you know, I paid $5 for it, so if it goes for, you know, a decent amount down the road, I may actually consider getting rid of this. But I only bought the one package. I wouldn't want to like buy a whole bunch and sit on them type of thing. I just, again, like the way that it looked, so I thought I would buy it for my and just put it on my shelf. Another couple things for my shelf here are just some miniatures. The first one is a special edition Demogorgon, and I showed this in a recent video, but if you didn't see that, what this is it was a bonus item that was given to you if you purchased the D&D Classic Creature Collection box set. It's a series of miniatures that was put out by WizKids. And it has like a much larger Demogorgon and Purple Worm and Troll, Orc Archer, I think. There's just 9 different miniatures, but honestly, the Demogorgon and the Purple Worm are the only ones that I had a passing interest in. And those sets retailed for $100. But I was actually given this, and I just thought that was really, really cool. And the reason that I'm not going to open it, or the reason I'm going to keep it sealed and have it just as a collectible, is it's got that fantastic not for resale sticker on it. So for me, it's like that just authenticates it as, you know, the original item and the original packaging. And again, this was actually given to me, but it's something that I'm gonna just keep sealed forever. I'm never gonna open this, so it's just something that I have that's on my shelf. And the same can be said for this beholder here. I'm going to reference this back in a moment, so I'm not going to talk about this too much right now. But this is something else that I bought with the full intention of never opening. I have 5 other packages of these Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures right now, like a Human Wizard, Elf Ranger. A couple of Dragonborn, one is a fighter, the other is Paladin. I got a Tiefling Sorcerer and some Mind Flayers, which are sealed right now, but I might consider opening those later on if I get some paints, because, I'm starting to get back into painting miniatures. But this one was specifically bought only for the purposes of keeping it sealed and just having it in my collection. And like I said, I'll talk about this a little bit more in a moment. And just the last 2 items that I have here is a copy of the 5th edition D&D Dungeons & Dragons starter set, still fully sealed, and a set of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons character sheets, which are also fully sealed. So the reason that I have these, and I've told this story before, but if you haven't seen those videos, the starter set, the reason that I have the starter set sealed is I get a lot of my D&D books and products along those lines off of the Chapters online store. And Chapters is a major book retailer in Canada, very similar to Barnes & Noble in the US. And they usually have their hardcover books for 40% off. So I can get like the $68 books for $40, which to me saves a lot of money. And it's the only reason I'm able to collect those books now. But the starter set, I got this last year in December actually. And what happened is they have a point system, and my online account has its own separate point system from the one that I have as a card. For the online point system, they actually bumped me up. So they have redemption amounts you can redeem for $5, $10, and then it goes like 20, 40, 80, 100, and so on and so forth. So I had $5 worth of points already in my account, but they bumped it up as a promotion up to the $10 mark, so I could redeem, if I bought something online, I could redeem $10 worth of points and knock $10 off the price of something. And they've done this a few times, and it's always been awesome when they've done it, because it's, it's something that I can purchase something that I was hoping to get, but just couldn't really afford it type of thing. But having them, give me those extra points was always fantastic, and it was only good for a couple of days, so you kind of have to jump on it when they do it. But this starter set was already discounted down to $15 from the $25 price tag that it has here in Canada, or $24 price tag, I should say. If I get it to focus there. So again, I pay the Canadian price. But their online regular discount already had it down to $15. And then they gave me the points, which took another $10 off of that. So I bought this starter set, this $24 item, for $5 and got it shipped to the store for free. So for me, that was just like, I was kind of thinking of contemplating the idea of having some sealed products for 5th edition. And, being able to get this for $5, I just jumped on the opportunity. It's a little bit of a different story with these character sheets. The reason that I have these sealed character sheets is because of the amount of difficulty I had to go through to get these in the first place. So when these first came out, typically the stores where I live, in like the capital of Nova Scotia, they typically get the D&D products a week or two in advance of the official release date. And with these character sheets, it just seemed like nobody was getting them in. So I was waiting for the advance day. It came and went, and I follow all these stores on Facebook, and just none of them had pictures posted of the new products. I checked every day that they would get deliveries, and just nothing. I had this pre-ordered at the one of the stores I deal with, and they just couldn't get it in. Like their distributors just didn't send them, or didn't have them, or there was just something going on. So finally, there was a store that had one copy or one set of these left. And this was actually, I think, a few days after the normal release date, and nobody else still had them. So they set them aside. I had to jump on a bus and go to the store to pick them up. In the meantime, literally I think the next day or 2 days later, or very shortly after, I've got the copy that I opened up and did a video for. The store that I originally ordered this from got their copy in. So, or got their copies. So they had the one set aside for me, and it's like, well, you know, I ordered it, I don't want to cancel now. So I picked it up, and it's just something that, again, will stay sealed, and it's just, for me, it's kind of a story. It's like, you know, why do you have these sealed sheets? And it's like, well, because it was sort of a nightmare to try to get these on time. So those are the sort of the sealed products that I have in my collection. So these are the things that I have for the sole purposes of just being a collector's item. So these are things that are not going to get opened up, they're not going to get used, they're not going to be played, they're just something that I have on my shelf because, you know, I like them, I consider myself to be a collector, and I wanted to just have these in my collection, and that's really as far as it goes. It's just, again, having these things as collectibles. The thing that I want to say about if you're going to be the kind of if you're going to have items in your collection that are solely for display and something that you're never going to open up and use, try to be ethical about it. So for example, with these beholders, this is something that I thought I was actually never going to get my hands on, just because the stores, all the stores that in the area that I live in, sold out the very first, like the day they got them. They sold out within minutes. And the beholders specifically were the monsters that they just, like these miniatures, they couldn't hold on to. Like I contacted the store nearest to me within 3 minutes of them putting up the pictures of all the miniatures, and as it turns out, somebody was there when they were unpacking them, and they only had the one beholder, I think, or they only had a couple, and people were there and they scooped them up before they even got a chance to take a picture. So a week later, after these initially released, I was in a store and they had 2 copies of this, and I was tempted to pick up both. One that I would have as the sealed product, like this one that's never going to be opened, but I wanted to get the other one for the purposes of actually opening up and potentially painting if I, get around to buying some paints, even if they're just cheap paints. But I didn't get them both that day, and the reason for it is I didn't think it was ethical for me to buy the only copies that the store had, knowing that one of them was going to be something that was just never going to be used. So if I bought all the beholders that store had, then that means that somebody who was probably going to end up actually using them or using it wouldn't be able to get it, and I just didn't want to be like that. I had a similar experience a few years back with some action figures. So I have just a handful of sealed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures, and some of the ones that I have are recast or remolded from the original 1980s product line. And the store that I went to was selling them for $10 each, and they go online for I think 30 at the time that these were that I found them. And they had multiples of each of the turtles and Shredder. And I picked up, one each of the turtles, and I picked up Shredder, and again, I was tempted to just buy them out and like sell them online or put them on like Kijiji, which is a online buy and sell site that I think is only in Canada as well. But again, I decided that I just couldn't do it because again, someone might go to that store and just see them and have that sort of sense of nostalgia come over them and want to have them for their collection. So, why buy them out and, sell them for, a marked up price when I, can just leave them there and let somebody, have the same experience that I did and just, be in the store, see them there, see the $10 price tag, just be transported back to your, childhood and, be able to pick them up. So I didn't want to rob somebody of that experience, and I didn't want to prevent somebody who would actually open this up and get use out of it from being able to do that because I wanted to buy all the copies that the store had. So I guess finally my response to that question is it's totally okay to just collect. It's totally fine to just have some things on your shelf that you're never going to open up and you have solely for the purpose of just wanting to have them. At the same time, though, I don't think you should hoard those items. And, if you want to have multiples, then I would say, do that over time. But don't buy out a store's supply of something because you want to just have as a collectible, right? So, I mean, let other people have the opportunity to purchase those products as well. But as long as you're not, again, like hoarding items and preventing others from being able to, purchase them as well, I think it's totally fine to, get something like this that, is going to be on your shelf forever, and that's just going to stay in that packaging, and it's just going to be something that, you're not going to use, but you're going to, enjoy just having and picking up and holding and looking at, and just having the product, or, some of the things that, you got for a really great price, or something that you kind of have a story behind. So again, in my opinion, yes, it's totally fine to just collect for the purposes of shelf collecting, as long as you're, again, ethical about it and not preventing others from being able to enjoy similar products. I mean, if it's the last of something, then that's one thing, but if you're buying multiples of something, knowing that you're never going to use them, but you just, you're collecting them, or worse, grabbing them to resell them later, for me, that's where the issue kind of comes in. For the most part, I mean, yeah, I said I might do that with the magic cards here. But again, if a pack of this ever got up to like $20, $30, I might sell it for 10 type of thing. If I ever do, I don't think I will, but it's something that I'd at least be sort of open to. Or if I knew somebody that really, really wanted a pack of Unstable, right now, if they, really, really wanted it and they couldn't find it in stores, I would just sell it to them for the same price that I paid. But anyway, so that's sort of my thoughts on the idea of just like shelf collecting, or is it okay to just collect something? But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you have things that you just bought solely for having on your shelf, like solely for the purpose of collecting? Or do you think that, especially when it comes to gaming products, do you think that every gaming product that is bought needs to be played and enjoyed? And if you have a YouTube channel, I don't think I say this enough, but if you have your own channel and you're looking to produce videos, feel free to do a video response to this. And if you do, let me know, and I would be happy to, watch that and leave a comment. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.